Hi, it's DL, and I wanted to do a bedtime yoga session. I don't really have a plan for this, so it's just going to be me going through whatever I'm feeling in my body, and you're welcome to join me or do something totally different. We'll just be practicing together. So come on down to your mat. And I think I'd like to start in child's pose. So, there are a lot of variations for child's. You can have the knees open and as wide as the mat. You can have the legs together, and you can have the arms alongside the body, or you can have them in front of the body. Also, if it's not comfortable for you to have your bottom all the way down to your heels, then just let your hips right up in the air. You can rest on your forearms if that's more comfortable. So come into whatever variation of child's pose you would like. Feeling a little tension in my shoulders, so I'm noticing that. Just notice any tension that might be in your body, and if you can shift to relieve it or change it, then do so. And then just notice how the body might, just of its own accord, soften. Maybe the tailbone will be able to sink more towards the heels as the back opens. Maybe the sternum will be able to drop down. And be with your breath here, whatever position you're in. If your thighs are holding your belly, and just notice that contact and the pressure and resistance as you breathe. If your legs are wide, then there's a space for your belly to move into as you breathe. You can even do a little ujjayi breath, which is the Darth Vader-like breath, also known as oceanic breath. Maybe even visualizing the waves coming in and out as you breathe. And you might feel the rise of the back body as you inhale, and its gentle fall back towards the ground as you exhale. Good. Now, wherever your arms are, whether they're in front of you or behind you, I'd like you to take them just about to where your shoulders are. This is just to give you a little support. I'm going to just ask you to roll your forehead off one direction, all the way to the ear if you can, and then roll the forehead the other way. So we're just allowing the head its full weight and massaging the forehead upon the floor. So the forehead is a place where we hold lots of tension during the day as we think and plan and work and read. So just let all of that go now. Ironing out the forehead and all of its holdings. And you can go a little faster or a little slower. Start to make it more organic a movement. Just letting the head loll and be heavy. And noticing how the rest of the body might want to respond as well. So maybe feeling some awakening through the spine here and a connection from tailbone to head. Maybe shifting weight from one side or hip to the other. And what I get when I do this, when I shift my weight from one hip to the other, I can actually get a stretch through the inner thigh of the leg I'm moving away from. So you might be able to find that or discover that for yourself. And then you can start to come up onto the crown of the head. Now this, we're not putting full weight of the head here. So there's weight that's supported through the hands here. You're just allowing the head to be heavy and roll, but no pressure on the neck. And just feel from about where the third eye is, that middle point of the forehead, and the line to the crown, the very top of the head. So just massaging the skull here, winding down for sleep. And you might find some tight spots or little tender areas, so feel free to work those out. Just be cognizant of your neck, and we don't want to put any strain or pressure on it. Good. So let's gently lift the upper body now from child's pose into rock pose or thunderbolt. If this isn't a comfortable position for you, you can put something under your ankles, you can put something under your hips, or you can simply sit in easy pose or some variation that is comfortable for you. But if you can, work towards this pose. If we have tight quadriceps, that can be a problem. If we have tight ankles or the tops of the feet are very tight, those are things that we're going to want to work with. Not to push or pull into submission, but to begin to bring some breaking up of all that tension and long held contraction that is keeping us from being able to sit like this. And it isn't so much being in this exact position, it's just having the freedom to achieve positions that the body is capable of doing, your body. And Thunderbolt, this pose is for digestion. So if you've just eaten and or you're feeling a little full or congested in the belly, this is a good position to be in to help aid your digestion, which can also improve your sleep. So just giving a little belly massage in the direction that things flow. So I'm going up the right side of the body and over to the left and down and around. Good. And rest, and we'll come onto all fours. So here I want you to be very gentle with your relationship with the ground. Rather than coming into all fours, pushing the floor away, I want you to think more cat-like. Be very gentle. Make sure your knees are right under your hips and your wrists about under your shoulders, perhaps a little more ahead of you. And you can have your toes bent back or you can have your feet flat, whichever you prefer. Just begin to allow some organic movement and or cat-cow here. Make sure that you're breathing. We usually exhale when we arch the spine up and inhale as we bring the chest forward through the arms. Notice all those tight places on the back or even in the front of the body as you move. It can be really nice to make circular It can be really nice to make circular movements with the hips. And if you go one way, make sure you get the other direction. And then shifting your weight a little back and forth. And then as you bend back towards your heels, allow your tailbone to start reaching up towards the sky. Legs open to the back. If your heels don't come down right away, don't worry about that. Not important. You don't have to pedal your feet or anything unless you want to. You can just be still and allow the body to open here of its own accord. And walking towards your hands grabbing hold of somewhere. You can have your hands on the floor, on your ankles, or even on your thighs. We want a somewhat flat spine from the tail to the head, rather than be rounded through the back for this particular moment. Really empty out the core and the belly, so it's really supporting you here in this position. And then allow yourself to round forward. And of course you can bend your knees. You don't have to have flat or straight legs rather. You can also use blocks here and have the blocks to support you at any height, and that will make this an easier, more accessible pose. And feel free to move through it and explore it a little bit instead of hold it stagnant. And then allow your knees to bend deeply forward. And get your knees right under you so you can roll up and support your spine as you rise into mountain pose. Really allow your feet to spread over the ground and root in. Lifting the arms to the sides and overhead with the inhale. Overhead. Reach. And step back and open into a warrior two here. So you can have the feet as wide as the mat if you like, one on either side of the mat. And they can be as far apart as you would like, but not maybe a very wide stance since we're kind of winding down here. So you'll want to feel as if the 2 feet are moving in opposite directions, and there's a little bit of tension in the mat as you stand. Also check your back arm, because a lot of the times the arm is getting kind of bent and out of socket. So just let it be in a nice line from one arm to the other. Good, and let's do a little reverse here. Think up as opposed to back. And then come down to the forearm. Reach forward if that's comfortable for you. You could have your hand just on your waist if that's a little too much for your side body, you decide. And then turn the body into a high lunge. Might have to readjust yourself. Blocks here can be very useful. And then back into down dog. Walking the feet back, up, up, up. Flat back, holding somewhere on the legs, or if you're okay with the floor, nice flat back. And then allowing yourself to round over, bending the knees as deep as necessary or as you desire. And a little bit of exploratory movement here, maybe shifting your weight from right to left. Knees bent nice and deep to support the rolling up of your spine into mountain. Let everything relax and release downward. And note that the spine still lifts even with everything draping over and off. Arms up to the sides with the inhale and overhead. Reach. And opening and stepping back into warrior two. So I'm going to actually change my direction just so I'm facing you. Again, as wide as you would like the legs apart and as wide both in width and depth. A little bit of a pull in two different directions with tension in the mat and arms open, nice line so that your back arm isn't jerked and disconnected from the rest of you. And don't feel like you have to hold this stagnant either. There can be little movements and adjustments, especially if you notice that you're gripping or holding in anything. Good, and then reaching up into reverse warrior. Breathe. Always check in with your breath. It should always be as easy to breathe in every position. And if it's not and you're struggling, then it's an indication to just pull back a little bit until you can breathe with ease. Coming forward now, reaching that arm, either leaving it at your side or reaching overhead. Feel the weight in your back leg, even as you have a lot of weight on your front leg. Good, letting that forearm come around into a high lunge as you rearrange yourself here. And let's come into a plank here. So bringing one leg back. You can be on your knees if it's just too much to be up. But one thing you do want to make sure is that you're not sagging through the middle. So it's better to have the hips slightly elevated. And down. And here, let's just take either a little Sphinx or a little Cobra or whatever would feel good for your back. I think I'm going to just start by Rocking my hips a little side to side. And I feel like doing a little interlocking of my hands behind my back. So I'm going to lift my chest, keeping my legs on the ground. But again, feel free to do a sphinx on your forearms or a cobra on your hands. I'm not looking for anything too deep right now. Good. You can come down and up a few times if you like. That was really all I needed, just a little tiny back bend. So you can rest here and feel the full weight of your body on the ground, the front body, and how nice it feels to just kind of hug into the ground with the parts of you that are touching the ground. Relax and let go. And I have my arms at my side and I'm turned to one cheek, but if that's not comfortable for you, you can have your arms overhead, rest your cheek on your hands or even your forehead, whatever you'd like and whatever's comfortable. It's kind of pretty much always the name of the game. Oh yeah, I'm feeling ready for bed. Alright, so let's flip over slowly and gently like pancakes. So I'm going to invite you now to be either in constructive rest with the knees bent, and maybe because we are just trying to relax, if you want to widen your feet to the width of the mat and then let your knees drop in, just to let the groin really release here and not have to worry about holding the legs up, just letting everything loose. And you're also welcome to have your legs long if you prefer. Just follow your breath and the sensation of the breath as it moves in and out. And one of the reasons I'm in constructive rest and not savasana or corpse pose is because I don't want to fall asleep here. I want to go to my bed and I want to fall asleep there. So being in constructive rest, it's still really relaxing, but I know that it's not bedtime. Plus, it feels really good. So notice as you're in this position, this is a recovery position. Notice what's letting go. With each moment or minute that passes here, we have this beautiful opportunity just to watch the body unwind. We don't have to do anything. The body will unkink, uncork, and unwrap itself of all its contractions and holdings if we just be. Let the face relax. Let's rub the hands together. Create some heat between the palms. We're going to cover the eyes. So you'll just press the palms around the bone socket and look into that black vastness. Feel the healing heat from your own hands penetrating your eyes. Allowing them to rest and soften. Compress around the bones, not on the eyes, but around the eyes. Kind of cupping the hands. And then release. Let's open up to a long body stretch here. We're going to wrap the muscles around the bones as we reach in two different directions, away from the very center of the body. Reach, tighten, and relax, and let everything come back inward. Good, release. And then when you're ready, turning onto one side, taking a moment in the fetal position. And when you're ready, you can push yourself up with your top arm, reach away with the top leg. And come into a sitting pose that's comfortable for you. Well, I don't know about you, but now I am ready for bed. My bed is calling me. So I wish you sweet dreams. Let's close with a rubbing of the hands. And let's bring them to the chest. Deep breath in, hold, and release the breath. We're going to do 2 more of those. So as we release, you'll just do a sigh. And don't worry about how it sounds. It can be anything. One more time. All right, again, sweet dreams. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye. Good night.